Should we start the interview?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and start it, Aaron. No. All right, we're here with the very famous and amazing Aaron Barnhart.
Yeah.
At thedishmaster.com. Oh, maybe I should have slowed down the intro for that drum roll.
There's a slew of sound effects waiting.
No. I don't want to try again. Okay, we are at Brick and Mortar Studios with Aaron Barnhart, singer-songwriter. Right, Aaron? Also plays the keys. Amazing keys player.
Tickling ivories.
That's a ridiculous soundbite.
It's like Yanni at the Acropolis.
Aaron's great.
I need a mustache. I grew a mustache in the last 10 seconds just from that cue.
All right, so we are promoting Aaron's Kickstarter campaign for his solo record, right, Aaron? This will be your second record?
Second record. First one was really great, and it was all through a label and that whole, the business side of things.
The machine. The label.
I was a cog.
Yeah.
Spinning,
So did they, on the first record, did you have, did they give you like a creative, do you have full creative control of it?
They were pretty cool, and it was through, I had a friend and a manager at the time who was, he was just concerned with it being good quality, which was cool. So it wasn't like they were pressuring me per se to write certain things, but there always is a certain amount of that when you're beholden to somebody else.
But did they give you, did they tell you had to be of a certain genre or anything like that?
There's kind of like this unspoken, we need a hit, where's the hit, kind of thing. So that was pretty much the ongoing conversation, as it should be. Like if you're investing a bunch of money in somebody and you're looking for a return, that's going to be your kind of native thought process. But which is kind of why the second record is so much, it feels a lot more, lack of a better word, just liberating to do it yourself.
Yeah, not have any pressure from the label about creating the
And this place
next
is cool,
big thing.
too, because it's like, it's all friends, and we're here just... I love to count.
I don't know that drops appropriate for my very serious interview. Come on.
That's what you think.
That's what you think.
We should introduce our third member of this interview.
Yeah, behind the curtain.
Yes, he is the co-founder of Brick and Mortar Studios, and he is helping, what's the word, produce, engineer, mix, everything, Aaron's record. I don't know. Listen, I just started in the musician posse. My vocabulary is limited.
You're doing well.
All right.
That's a pretty good description.
He's doing some really cool stuff with Aaron's record.
Yes.
Like this. Like this.
Oh man, this is so professional.
Oh, it is. This is it's rich, compelling.
So is this new record, would you say the sound or the genre is different than the first one?
Yeah, because it's a little more rootsy and it's a little more bluesy, which is a big part of something I've been wanting to do for a while.
Yeah.
And so it'll be cool, and the next record will be completely different from that.
How long have you been writing the material for this record?
A while. I mean, since the last one. I'm not a Ryan Adams. Like I can't crank out like 36. That guy amazes me.
Yeah.
He's like, I wrote 4 amazing records this year. You like every one of them. Whereas I'm just slow to really find something that I want to get behind and that works. But it happens.
Well, tell me about your songwriting process.
It usually starts at the piano, just looking for something that some kind of aesthetic or some kind of something musical that moves me in a way, get the tempo right, and then from there build the melody and then do the lyrics last.
But are you ever out like on the beach or something and it occurs to you that you thought of this great songwriting idea and you just are inspired in that moment?
Yeah, those are great. I wish those would come daily, but they don't. I mean, it's interesting because when you do get that kind of strike, it's great because I can go home and write a song in an hour and it just happens. But it's rare. I see it as a job, It's like a lot of great songwriters I know are like, you just got to go to work.
Right.
You can't just wait for that, wait for that thing to just hit. It's got to go in there and do it.
Well, I think people like me who are on the outside looking in look at your job as being the most enticing because it's creatively driven, but it sounds like you're still sitting there doing work. Like
it's interesting because it's like an intangible work. And I remember when I got my first record deal, I quit my job. They gave me a bunch of money as an advance. It was like, cool, you don't have to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
What you've always wanted is here. Write us a bunch of music. Then you're like, damn. this
a lot of pressure.
This is more work than I had expected it to be. And it is, because you're sitting there and you know that there's this end game that you have to come up with, but cry me a river, singer-songwriter. Thing is, like, I dug a ditch today.
But I mean, do you obviously prefer that? I mean, because you can just focus on songwriting, right? It's not as much of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm teaching full time to pay bills, and it's rewarding and it's cool, but it's also draining, because when you're teaching somebody, you're giving away that energy. You're inspiring them.
Right.
You're dealing with their needs and their, and it's. So it is draining, because you work 8-10 hours and you come home and you're like, awesome, I want to stare in front of a computer for another 8 hours? No.
Well, I think it's just a matter of working a day job and also having a creative life.
That's anybody who's trying.
Exactly.
And most people are.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and it's.
But maybe, do you think that you're hungrier now because you're working the day job in addition to the songwriting?
One of the things I can say from the last time through when I was doing a record is I like record time, because record time is like getting ready for a fight, like if you're a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can do what you want, post-fight, but there's that 8 weeks of training camp where you're like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I always feel like that around that time, and this is good because it forces me to do something, because otherwise I like deadlines. I don't know about you, but I have to have a deadline.
Yeah.
Or I'll just exist, float. So
but I know now the way you're recording this, it's in spurts, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but once the Kickstarter campaign is fully funded, then we will devote all our attention to it. It's just
to the record.
But that's the way it has to. Right now that they're just being cool, and we're making it happen how we can.
So tell the audience what Kickstarter is for people who don't know.
It's confusing at first.
Yeah, well,
it's e-begging.
E-begging.
It really is just shameless, unabashed begging for cash via the interwebs, and that's what we're doing. But it's cool. There's a video online that Nigel helped me do, and it looks great, and it explains the whole process. But essentially, it's just you donate what you feel, and if you donate something, you get something cool in return.
But what I love about Kickstarter is it kind of brings music back to the roots of what it should be. It's a bunch of people supporting music and saying, here, let me give my money in for you to produce this great product. Because labels really have sort of imploded anyway, so it's ground up now.
Absolutely, and it's really inspiring to me. Like I know it sounds like lip service, and you're like, "Oh, thank you for your support."
Yeah,
but it's really touching to see somebody like this is funny. My first kiss in kindergarten. This little girl who I haven't talked to since kindergarten, but I still remember her, man, because she was my first kiss, and she sent me. She donated, and she was like, "Hey, this is from your kindergarten sweetheart." I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
Oh my God.
Yeah, 8 years later.
Was there tongue involved in this kiss? Do you remember?
It was pretty G-rated at the time, but I just remember that I was a little infatuated with her.
Did you go up to her and say, we're going to kiss, or did you just attack the little kindergartner?
No, you know how like little kids don't have any fear or any, you just do what you want to do.
Man, when I hear stories like that, I mean, my first kiss, I was 17 years old.
Wow.
Wait, am I pathetic?
Survey says.
Have disclosed that. Kindergarten.
My first real kiss wasn't until 15 or so.
All right.
But I mean, when you're a little kid, it's like, whatever. But...
That never happened to me when I was little. No, good for you. You're a baller.
I think more
people will donate to Kickstarter with that information. Support the guy who's a baller who had a kindergarten kiss. I barely even remember kindergarten.
No, it's just funny because like the people I would have least expected to care and to want to participate have. It's been really cool. So.
It shows that you're healthy, by the way, that you're friends with all your exes, including your kindergarten kiss.
Not all my exes.
No, it really is moving. But I also think, as I said, it's like a tribute to what music's become. Support music, give money in to help make a record. It's true.
I mean, you hear a lot of people say, well, there's nothing good on the radio, and the whole industry is just, it's imploding or whatever. But the reality is that it's like you said, it's come back to grassroots kind of stuff. That's kind of daunting in some ways, but in this instance, it's great because what you would spend to buy the record, you can help make the record.
Especially too, since the people labels put out are all such processed crap. It's really nice to Yeah, it's really nice because you don't want money to be the only factor prohibiting a great record coming out. So it's a way of facilitating good music.
True. And it's,
so you're a really good keys player. Is keys like a what is that term? Like what's the real? Is that like?
Well, you could say keys player. I would just say keyboard player.
Keyboard.
Yeah, just a keyboard player.
All right, the brick and mortar co-founder in the studio told me to refer to it as keys because I guess it's the cool way to talk about it.
That's like saying skins, bro. Like I play skins. Would you want to be referred to as the skins player, bro?
Wait, what is the skins player? What is that? Is that what?
Well, like it's kind of almost like a beatnik term, like "Hey, Daddy-O." You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so when did you learn how to play the keyboard?
My parents started me super young, like 5, 4.
Oh my
5.
God!
I couldn't even touch the ground.
Wait, are your parents musicians?
Yeah, both of them. My mom has a beautiful voice and was a DJ for years. Not like waka, but like radio DJ.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, she worked in a couple rock stations in Pittsburgh and then country, Christian, a couple different genres.
Oh wow!
She's got a beautiful voice.
What kind of a singing voice?
She's I'd say an alto, but she can sing up in some of that soprano range, but she's definitely an alto.
And then what about your dad?
My dad plays the piano and drums.
And they both sat you down when you were 5 and said,
"You have to play the piano."
Wow.
And the drill was you have to play from 5 to 15. There will be no resistance is futile. Just you're gonna play. And at 15, if you hate it so much, then you can quit. And I hated it at first, man. I hated it. I was I was a difficult child with that.
Yeah.
But then around 12, I kind of discovered, I can play rock songs and, get the attention of little girls.
Not to get too deep into this, but do you think that it's like genetic or environmental in your case?
It's a little bit of both, you know. I think there are people that say, it's all how hard you work, but I hate to burst bubbles, but I don't think that's true either. I think that you have to be gifted with something.
Yeah,
like
you have to have it.
You have to have some starting off point.
Mm-hmm.
Just like as an athlete, I'm never gonna be like I'm never gonna run the 3-minute mile ever. Wasn't my gift, So
yeah.
But you have to work at it like anything.
So
else.
I imagine your parents are supportive of you pursuing music since they're both.
They're so awesome. Like my parents are amazing people and. My best friend. So that's a blessing because not a lot of people can say that.
Well, yeah, I feel like if your parents weren't musicians, then they wouldn't understand it and they might not support it. But in your case, it seems like they.
Well, I played a pretty safe instrument too. Like a lot of times they got a little iffy when I got into the guitar and started distorting that and turning it up and playing Guns N' Roses songs. They didn't like that quite as much.
Hello, honey. How are you?
I don't know the purpose of that drop actually.
Some of these things aren't labeled,
so just press them.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
the fuck is that?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
We're all friends here. We've all been friends for a while.
That iPad, I tell you what, kids these days and their iPads, those things are crazy.
And by kids, you mean the brick and mortar co-founder, who is a child as well. So once you get the Kickstarter money, how long do you think it'll take to churn the album out?
I'm shooting for somewhere in July.
And do you think, are you going to make some video on the beach where you're like staring at the water? Because
you obviously have seen that one.
I saw that video.
People should go and watch that just for the epic storm that overtook that whole shoot. Like we couldn't have CGI'd that if we tried to.
That was very good.
It was pretty epic.
I thought, wow, Aaron's serious business.
It's also really one of my least favorite things to do in the world
is what?
Is to do a video.
Really?
I think the next video I want to be like Radiohead and just do like a claymation thing
what?
with some, like weird characters that eat one another for 5 minutes.
I've seen videos like that. That might be the reason.
I love this guy.
Why do you hate doing videos?
Because I hate looking at myself in the camera. Like I see why a lot of actors are like, I don't watch my films.
Yeah,
I would be that
painful.
actor. Like if I were an actor, I would never watch a film.
Well, I don't like listening to my own voice. I get it.
Right.
It's painful.
It's just Yeah.
But you're actually not singing on the video, right? Like your voice, you film it and then you.
Such a weird experience because this is funny. The first video I did to Day In Day Out, we were in downtown LA on like 4th Street in the Fashion District at like rush hour, and we had a boom box, and I'm in the middle of the street lip syncing to my song, like trying to act cool. It's just epic. Well, I wouldn't say epic
when you
fail,
lip sync though, can you actually sing?
You should sing along with it, yeah.
Yeah, so that way you don't feel like a total douchebag.
No, if you don't, if you don't sing, you look like a tool. There's no way around that.
Who designed those first videos from your first record?
Really cool guy. He's here in Southern California. His name's Daniel Chestnut, and he's a videographer and filmmaker. Young kid. He's probably 23.
Are you putting Painkiller on the second record?
No, I can't. That's another great thing about major labels is once you write a song, they pretty much own it for, I think it's 3 years that they own it.
They own that song?
Well, the recording.
Oh.
And then for me, there's a 3-year kind of limitation before I can re-record it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I'm kind of close to at this point. But you know what? I honestly don't want to look back. I mean, that's a great song. It was recorded well.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't need to go. That to me would be kind of, just the wrong way to approach it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just find that an interesting tidbit because I don't understand the sort of business behind the label.
Well, speaking of, their thinking is we spent all this money on it, and then you could just, if you don't like us or you have a falling out with us, a month later you go re-record everything, and then we have no leverage or nothing, no product.
Right.
Which it's kind of like a no-compete clause, like in any gig, but.
So how many songs are on the new record?
That's to be discussed. That's so TBD.
Can I be the one who decides? Because
18. This is our 18-song EP.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, I also don't think anybody knows what EP is.
I didn't know.
Right?
I just learned.
Right.
It's weird.
Right.
I don't.
It's from the vinyl days.
I don't
extended play.
Are you so? Wait. Are you? Is this going to be an EP? What we're doing?
EP and meaning less songs, so 5 to 6, probably 5.
So what is the purpose of the EP for the audience? And by audience, I mean me.
It's just a picture of my life at this point in my music making career.
No, I know. I just mean EPs in general. Like, what are they?
What's the purpose?
Yeah.
Well, I think nowadays it's like to do a full 12-song record is a huge undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like just in man hours, in money, in time.
It's twice as long.
And what I find is like by the time I've written, because you're not just writing 12 songs, you're writing 25 songs and picking the best 12.
Right.
So then it's like 3 years have gone by. And I think that cycle and kind of the ADD generation and the way music is distributed now, it's too long for people to wait, and it's too much to ingest at one time.
Right.
So the singles market and the EP market are great because, for instance, like with the electro stuff, like with Skrillex or whatever, he can come out with a song every 3 months, sell 800,000 downloads of it, and then 3 months later do something completely different. Mm-hmm. And you're never beholden to like, I've just spent 2-3 years of my life making this one statement that by the time it's made doesn't even resonate with me anymore.
Right. So when you release the full album, it might not even be the same songs as the EP, right? That's how it kind of, the LP, is that what it's called?
Well, in this case, there won't be, well, at least with these songs, this will be the only format for these songs. They will live in this EP, and that's it. So
you obviously have written like a ton of songs. How do you winnow it down to the top choices?
Well, I haven't really written a ton. Like I usually write, like in the case of this, I want to write 12, 13 songs, pick the best 5. Mm-hmm. Right now I have about 8 songs. So I've been writing. I'm still writing, and this is crunch time for me. But it's good because this is when I make it happen.
You flourish.
I do it, and like with my last record, it was iffy. Like we spent all this money on that record. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough songs. Mm-hmm. And then in the last 3 weeks, it was like just everything clicked.
Now, as a songwriter, do you like writing with other people?
Yeah, I really do. And there was a time when I was a little egocentric with it, where I was like, no, damn it, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just do all this all myself. And I think I just do better in a collaborative context.
I mean, sometimes I would imagine when you collaborate, it could decompensate your creative process. But sometimes you'll find someone who will help you.
Well, yeah, it's like, working with a writer is just like any relationship. You have to trust that person can help get you where you want to go.
Have you ever collaborated with someone who you just wanted to murder? during that?
No, afterwards I have. After we actually wrote the song, and but never during the process. No.
Now, how does it work? Do you usually just say to your friend, like, "Hey, let's write a song together"?
Well, that's like the mellow way to do it. But you always have to have that, and I've learned that you have to have the business discussion first.
Right.
You have to.
Because otherwise, you write the song, and then you could fight it out
right.
later.
So, I mean, once you've established what you're trying to do in the business end, then yeah, this time around it's just all friends. But I've made some friends through the last record, and some amazing songwriters that. Pro people, like people that have written for all kind of people, and they're great to write with, because when you write with somebody like that, it's all business. Like, you sit down, it's like 6 hours later, here's a song.
What I don't get, though, is, again, going back to what you said earlier about being inspired and writing during the inspiration, I feel like when you sit down to write with somebody, what if you're not in the midst of your greatest songwriting self, and you've got to just churn it out like a machine in that period of time?
That's the danger of it, and that's why a lot of songs sound prefabricated. All you got to do is turn on your radio. I mean, they're out there. But I think if you're right, and it's just getting in the room and seeing what happens. Because when I wrote, like, some of the best songs off my last record were last minute, and it just clicked so hard that, like, you're in the studio kind of looking at each other like, yeah, like, damn, like, this is really great.
Yeah.
And then there are times where you're like, yeah, bro, great to see you. So glad we hung out. Limo glass.
Do you ever hit, like, in life, writer's block periods where you go, I've got nothing?
Just any day that ends in Y. It's usually a writer's block day for me. Like, Leonard Cohen said it best. Like, he's like, it has always been my life struggle to write music. Like, he's like, and it just exemplifies the same thing for me. Like, I always feel like I hate it. I hate all my music until it's completely done, and then I have to kind of completely, pep talk myself at all points, and it's just part of the process for me.
But you've played in other bands too. You played keyboard with random bands and Fleetwood Mac. I don't know.
Name drop. Where's the sound effect for our name drop, bro?
Is it nice and relaxing when you're just playing keys to just sit back? It's not your own material, and you can just be a sideman and have fun with it.
We were just talking about that with, we're doing a blues project with a couple friends, and I've been doing just that, like just taking a back seat and letting the other guys do their thing, and I like that. There's way less stress.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more relaxing.
It's just do your thing, play keyboards. It's the same. I feel the same way when you're just singing. It's when you're doing both things, you're kind of splitting your energies, and it's definitely more challenging, I feel, to engage an audience.
Right.
Have persona, banter, talk to them, and play, and all that stuff.
But I also feel like you have a definable skill. Like, you can play keyboard at any point in your life, even if you're not, doing the singer-songwriter thing too. So it must be nice to have that as a additional thing that you can do.
Absolutely. Well, that, and then in teaching and engineering, like. What we were talking about with what Rob does here. I mean, that's always been like, for how you had that for your.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same kind of thing.
Yeah. We're going to edit that out.
Yeah. Sorry,
Uh-oh.
You're like Batman. I can't give away your identity.
It will continue like that at all times in life. Oh, man.
It's like uncomfortably long, that laugh. It's about 2 seconds too long.
He's so pleased with himself over there in the drops. I've never met anyone more excited about his role in the interview. So, back to Kickstarter. How much longer do we have to raise the rest of the money?
3 weeks.
So
What's the date? What's the end?
May 4th.
May 4th.
May 4th.
So let's just explain how this works, because we didn't talk about this element of it.
Yeah.
So basically, you set a deadline to raise a certain amount of money, and if you don't raise that amount by the deadline, then everybody gets their money back.
Yes.
You don't get any of the money.
Yes.
So it adds a pressure to the situation. Is that the essence of what makes Kickstarter cool, that pressure?
Totally. Well, because it just means that you have to define your goal, because I guess it would be unfair to the contributor if You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you only raised $400 out of $10,000, and they just took your $400 and went to Denny's.
Yeah.
It's like you have to achieve the goal so that you know that whatever project has been outlined is going to be acted on. You know?
I see what you're saying. Meaning, if you were only to raise 10% of the funds, and you can just pocket the money, you can't do the project with the money.
Yeah.
Go to a strip club, and then go to Denny's.
That's usually the natural progression.
Yeah, exactly. Denny's freaking awesome.
3:30 style.
Well wasted.
Oh,
and
those
after
poor
the strip
waitresses,
club.
man. That talk about earning $1. Those girls. Oh.
That's awesome. So this new record is got kind of a what feel to it? Would you say?
It's bluesier. It's kind of reminds me a little bit of, there's some early like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers in there, and there's a little bit of but it's more piano driven, so there's like some early Elton John elements in there, a little Allman Brothers-y. But it isn't traditional, like I don't think of it like kind of like just Black Crowes Southern rock. Like it's not that. It's still kind of songwriter-esque, you know. Kind of vibe, but it's definitely a little bluesier, a little rootsier, and we're playing it live too, which would be cool. That changes the whole process.
So when you said you're a teacher and you're doing all that, and then you're recording the album, do you have any time to just hang out and play around in addition to the songwriting and the teaching?
It's interesting because I think all of us, like whatever your field is, like you feel like that's all you can do when you have free time. You know, it's like I have to go do that. Right. That's what I'm doing. That's my dream. You know?
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying to, you know, I read a couple articles where like Joni Mitchell was talking about that, like where she'll paint just to get away from music and just be like, you know, I can't just be this thing.
Yeah.
So I'll try. I've been recently just digging, you know, with the whole Spotify thing, just putting on headphones and just listening to a bunch of music and just kind of seeing what's out there, especially
I've
new
heard though,
music.
like I've heard a lot of musicians say that because it's what they do all day, they don't want to listen to music too in their spare time. Do you find that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to do it, but not the same day I'm writing.
Yeah.
Because invariably I'll start writing something that's kind of
sounds like what you just heard.
Or I'm the worst for this, where I'll hear something, I'll be like, I want to make a song like that.
Yeah.
And then I'll hear like some dubstep thing, be like, I should do dubstep. Like, whatever it is, I should do acoustic, you know, polka rock.
Soon you'll be like, I should be Britney Spears. That's a great idea.
Yes.
I'm gonna wear a leotard and
Britney
dance around
with the shaved head. That period's the best period.
Oh, be nice.
I know.
I love working out to her.
Person. She's better now. That's good.
Yeah.
She got the kids back. Good for her.
Oh man. But yeah, but you don't find like, I do music all day, I don't want to listen to music also. You still have an innate love for it.
I love to play it. I mean, jamming is still it's one of my favorite things to do in the world. There's really, you know, very few things, you know.
Can we tell the Fleetwood Mac story, or because that's a fucking awesome story, and I want the audience to hear it.
Yeah, it's not as grandiose as it seems, but it is still pretty cool.
It's cool for me, and that's all that matters.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Golf clap. Well, I used to work for a keyboard manufacturer, and, you know, they'd send me out to demonstrate the keyboards and set them up for high-end clientele and stuff like that. And so through that, I got this gig setting up keyboards for Fleetwood Mac. And Christy McVie left the band. Mm-hmm. And so they have a really cool guy. He played with David Lee Roth and Stevie Nicks on their solo stuff. And so he was the interim keyboard player, and he needed a tech. So I helped him set up their rig for their touring rig when they went out on this last tour. They did World Tour. And I only ended up doing the setup. I didn't go out on the road with him, but I just helped. But highlight of my life, he was like, Gold Dust Woman. He's like, we need some strings on this, man. He's like, why don't you play strings? I was like, I'm playing strings with Fleetwood Mac right now. It was pretty rad.
That is insane. Did you talk to any of them?
No, it's an interesting camp, man. Like, they are rock stars. Like, they go from the bulletproof limo to the stage, back to whatever it is they're doing. But the bass player and drummer were super cool, real nice, funny. Yeah. And but Stevie and Lindsay were very, you know, they were polite. There was nothing wrong with them. They were just to the limo to the thing.
I saw Stevie Nicks perform. A friend of mine played drums at some benefit, and she performed, and he said she was the most unprepared of anyone. And I remember watching it and thinking, she is a fucking rock star. Like, she doesn't even have to prepare.
No.
She just, there's something about someone who commands the stage like that it doesn't even matter if they're prepared. You could fuck up your lines and still be amazing.
Yeah, to a certain degree. But she sounded a lot better in this time around than I've heard her in years. Like,
yeah.
You know, she seems more focused, and it was cool. But I don't know, like, I kind of get annoyed with high-end cats that, like, not them per se, but
yeah.
I was just talking about that the other day, like, you know, there's 50,000 people in front of you, and you can't be bothered to say hello or talk or engage the audience or practice your tunes. Like, come on.
Yeah, I saw you perform, and you said, download that shit later illegally.
Steal that shit.
Yeah.
Please steal my music. It still holds true. Steal this record. If you can find it, steal it.
Yeah.
Just do what you got to do.
Steal it because you're still listening, and that means that you'll come to the show, right?
Well, I mean, we just have to give up on the paradigm that you pay for records to earn money for music.
Right.
That's dead.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
It's like
the industry's changed drastically.
Yeah, it's like getting angry that the horse and buggy isn't the main kind of transportation. It's just give it up.
Now, do you mind? I've seen you perform. Do you mind being in a seated position since you're playing the keys and singing? Do you want to be that guy, that Mick Jagger guy, standing up with the mic?
I love to sing without anything else. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoy it. It's great. I love doing that, but I rarely get to do that.
Yeah.
The FMF show.
Yeah, we did a show in Florida where Rob would just, you know, he got like a 15-piece backing band, horn players. It was probably one of the single coolest experiences in my life. Like, amazing. Full Saturday Night Live style band, like bam, and all I was doing was singing. It was great because you can engage the audience, you can get them excited about it. You know, you can walk out there. Like, you can't do that behind a keyboard.
But do you have a preference though? I mean, I know you
sitting or standing.
Yeah,
I could never stand to play keyboards. I'd need a vest that was shiny and like.
I mean, but I guess what I mean is if you got.
You don't mean to insult any standing keyboard players out there.
But what if you got? Let's just say if you got someone else to play the keys while you perform during a song or whatever. I mean, is it more you feel?
I do the Chris Martin thing where he does play the piano, but then he'll like jump around and like there's 8 other people playing pianos behind the stage,
right?
You know,
So
and
it doesn't make a difference,
right? And then he comes back and he does this little thing. That to me is cool because you can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty tall. You're 6'4", right?
Tall guy, yeah.
Tall guy. So you've got a good stage presence being tall. I feel like you have an immediate advantage, right?
Yeah, well, you definitely spot me from a distance. I'm the guy you want at like the festival when you forget where to meet.
Yeah.
Look for Aaron.
Yeah. Where am I? Oh, there's Aaron, the tall guy. I'm just going to walk right over.
It's great. It shows, but then I invariably as soon as I walk within the first 50 rows of a concert, you can just feel how angry people are at you when you stand in front of them.
Yeah.
You can just hear them in the background like, oh, God, it's ruining this.
Well, you can't. I mean, when you're playing keys, you can't get the full feel of your height.
Right.
You know?
It's kind of nice, though. I think that sitting down makes my pitch and my vocal performance better.
Really?
Yeah, because when you're running around,
that's why
all the dance acts lip sync. You know?
I've heard that it's more challenging when you're seated to get your best vocal performance.
No, I don't know about it. Dave Grohl sits down for Foo Fighters. You know, all those records he sits.
I want to have sex with him so badly.
I'm sure.
When this album takes off, I know that you will be friends with Dave Grohl.
My buddy was Facebooking me pictures inside their private jet because he's Dave Grohl's guitar tech.
Oh, my God.
My buddy's Dave Grohl's guitar tech. He sends me, he's like Facebooking the other day. He's like, in the cockpit of the 747, like hanging out, and it has Foo Fighters on the engines of the jet. It says like FF.
Oh, man.
Love and life, Dave.
Next time you see him, if you could just say, my friend wants to have sex with Dave Grohl, I'd really appreciate that.
I'm sure his wife would love that.
Yeah, he is married.
With a child.
Yeah. He has children.
Classy.
Clearly, I don't mean it, audience. I'm not a homewrecker. However, I really want to have sex with Dave Grohl.
Yeah, he's one of the last stadium rockers out there.
But yeah, my vision of, I think anyone on the outside that looks at musicians wants to be the front man who's standing and singing into the mic like Jagger and sort of
moves like Jagger. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That song is so ridiculous. Right?
I know. Best move he ever made going on that show, though. Because that
The
band,
Voice?
yeah, that band just got
my
so
God,
much
I
more
know.
cred. Like people, maybe
Well,
not cred,
the
but
thing,
sales.
The thing about The Voice, and I've said this before, is The Voice will not work on a fundamental level because those guys are not A&R people. And just because you're a performer doesn't mean that you can figure out what makes other people like your music.
Americans are just infatuated with this concept of like this rag to riches fairy tale without like a whole lot of work. It's like, it's great. And there are instances like the guy who's singing for Journey now, you know that story, right? That like little Filipino dude who came out of nowhere off YouTube. I mean, it happens, but so much of the time, it's like if you're not a writer and you haven't put in the time and really suffered
paid your
dues.
Yeah.
And maybe it sounds cliche, but look what happens. They get that chance.
Yeah.
It's a flash in the pan. So
I'm not necessarily fundamentally against those shows, but I think that the person who's picking whoever's going to be the winner has to be an A&R rep. Otherwise,
well, even if they are though, like say it's Jimmy Iovine or whoever, it's like they're going to turn that person into what they want.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, you're going to have
but
to
I don't
fit the
think
mold.
those people mind necessarily as much because maybe they don't have a distinct artistic vision that they just want to sing.
Yeah, or you sell your soul for the first record, and then for the second record you get to do what you want to do, which is okay too.
Well, it's kind of like Adam Lambert's doing that now. I've heard that this new record he's doing is kind of a departure, and he has more. Ultimately just sales.
Yeah.
Because when you sell albums, then you get more leeway. You know?
Or like Christina Aguilera, her first record was pop driven and now she does this vocal acrobatics. It makes me want to vomit, but
she can't really sing though.
She can sing.
Except
however,
that whole forgetting the, like, I'm all right.
The
yes,
national
she
anthem.
Deserves to get beat up over that because it's
I
talk
guess.
about just being irresponsible. Like that's your national anthem. It's your country.
Yeah, but you know what? That actually didn't bother me. I feel like you're nervous. Okay. I mean, I know she's a performer, but my problem with her is that she disrupts the melody with the vocal acrobatics and it becomes a show off session. It's like, we know you're a good singer. Shut the fuck up and sing the song. I mean, show off once or twice, we get it, but then get back into the melody, right?
Yeah, well, Mariah Carey's like that too, with that super high stuff that she used to do. Now I don't know what it is that she does.
Oh, Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I also think that, like I was saying to you earlier about, like, are you hungrier now because you're not necessarily on the label and you have to work a full-time job? It's sort of like, that's what makes music great. I think every musician is at their best when they are still struggling.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting, though, because it's like, you can only hurt and find inspiration for your music from self-struggle for so long before you tear yourself up.
Right.
Then you do an Elliott Smith.
Right.
So it's like, I think I've read a lot of stuff with like Ray LaMontagne or Mumford and Sons.
Yeah, love them.
They're younger, but you're a storyteller when you're a songwriter. So I can write a song about addiction or whatever it is, and not necessarily have come from exactly that place.
Right.
But you're exploring a role.
Yeah.
And it's just being able to find that. And just outlining what it is you want to do. And it's like being an actor. Like, there's some actors that have one role that they do, and that's all they'll ever do, and that's great. But the great actors can be anything. So
now, when you write your songs, do you know exactly what they're about? I mean, do you...
Yeah, I'm not like a Smashing Pumpkins kind of thing where you're like, what are you saying? Or
right.
Like, I love Bon Iver. Is it Bon Iver?
Yeah, Bon Iver,
Bon
whatever
Iver,
the fuck. I'm not into it, actually.
I love it, like, because...
It makes me want to shoot myself in the head, if we're being honest.
Well, it's super... But you can't understand a single thing that guy says.
Yeah.
On 12 songs, you're like, I didn't... Not a one word. Mm-hmm. Not one. But it allows you to kind of imprint your own meaning onto it.
Right.
Like if it were like in, Mandarin or something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really know what it means.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say imprint.
But do you ever, have you ever had heartbreak where you go, I'm going to sit down and write about this heartbreak?
Only about every song. It's so much easier to write a song about getting your heart broken than it is to being happy. Because when you're happy, you're just happy.
Yeah, you don't need to
I don't need to sit down and express how happy I am because I'm just enjoying being happy.
But now you're a married man.
Yeah.
Ladies, don't be too upset.
Sound effect, fail.
Yeah, fail.
You pass.
So do you find that now that you're married, you're limited, your songwriting inspiration is curbed because you're in a happy loving marriage?
No, not at all. I mean, because I still write sad songs.
Yeah.
Because there's always a party, but I write happy songs too. Like, you know, I've written a few songs for her and about her, which is awesome.
Does she like that?
Of course. I think she'd like me to write her like one every week.
You should.
Like in a 365-day installment.
You know, I have to admit, some women will say, you know, I want some flowers, whatever. I just want to date a musician who writes a song for me, for fuck's sake, right? That's
as long as they're not like you don't have to pay their bills all the time. You're fine.
Well, that's true. I'll pay your bills if you'll write music for me. Come on.
Yes.
Like, remember the Jim Croce song? I have to say, can you turn that sound effect off? It's horrible. The Jim Croce song where he says, I have to say I love you in a song, you know?
Yeah.
He better have had some major sex because of that song, right? I mean, that's got to be the greatest in history.
It's good for, you know, it's good for any kind of mistake you made. Just write a song.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd be like, hey, wife, I wrote a song for you. Or you, hey, you know, you're going to have to pay me back for years. This is great.
It's a big payback. Yeah, it's nice. So, but it can be. You can find. Right now, I'm trying to just explore different scenarios. Like in a couple of the songs I'm writing, like I really want to get away from the I, me, my songs. Like, I did this. My, I, me, I.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just so easy to write a song like that because it's obviously your perspective. That's the most natural thing to express. But I really love, like, you know, Dylan songs and Ray LaMontagne songs where he's talking about somebody in the 1840s. Like, you know, I'm a woman in 1832. Like, way to go, Ray. Like, cool song.
But I would imagine that's why it's good to collaborate, too, because then you're not necessarily being in that egocentric mindset, and you can really, you know, I have to admit, you're the guy who told me about Mumford & Sons, I think. At the time, I pretended like I knew who they were.
Of course, I always do that. I'm like, I think I've heard of them.
Yeah.
That's the de facto.
Huh. Yeah, I go, oh, yeah, no, I know. They're phenomenal. And then I went and looked them up, and I'm like, holy mother of God, who are these people?
Well, they're a great example of that grassroots thing.
Oh,
because
you
know, they're just some, you know, kids from the UK just making it, you know, just having fun, writing music that moves them. And now they're just... I like that they did a train tour. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, they did this thing. Like Janis Joplin and a bunch of people did it in the 70s too, where they would get on the stops of the train, they would get off and play a show at the train station.
Yeah.
And they did maybe 10 of these. And I guess they went from Seattle through, you know, east. Like my brain, Colorado. That's a state.
Right.
There you go. So they went down and did all that, and they would stop and get out. But then while on the train, you're collaborating and you're writing because they had like
it's amazing.
12 bands on there, like Bright Eyes and a bunch of other people. You're like, yeah, this doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Just hang out in the train, drink whiskey, write songs.
Yeah, I think it. Brown liquor is bad for you.
Oh, the anger, the anger
will make
sauce.
you angry. No, but I think that's great because again, it goes back to being hungry. You have to stay sort of grounded. As soon as you make it, I think you sort of lose the perspective of the struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, like Paul Simon put out a great record recently. I don't know if you heard it.
I did,
It's
actually.
amazing.
Yeah.
But then you look at Billy Joel, who hasn't written a song in 500 years, you know.
Well, Billy hit the sauce, man. I think that really messed with him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if you're partying that hard, it's just kind of hard to, you know, to be creative. But I think some people too have different arcs in their career, and you just have to accept it.
Right.
Like there are people that just shine so bright. And I mean, I'd be lucky to write a 50th of what that guy wrote between 20 and 25. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, if in his 60s he just, you know, runs around his mansion with his pants off, like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed a musician who was saying he churned out an insane amount of records. And one of the things I asked him was, you know, what's the deal? How do you churn out that much music? And I just think it depends on the songwriter. Like you were saying that you don't churn out a ton of music, which could be a good thing because you're really sort of tweaking every single song until they're perfect. Well,
it can be. I mean, I wish I could write more, but for me, and that's not to say I haven't written 1,000 songs in the last 2 years. They just never see it past a verse.
Right.
You're like, lame.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do that. Like you sit there and spend a whole 6 hours, spend an evening, you know, just writing. You're like, wow, this is absolute crap.
Has there ever been a song where you start it, you leave it alone, and then you go back to it maybe a year later and you go, oh, this song was actually really good. Let me continue?
Yeah, I actually the guy who's playing guitar on this project just sent me some stuff from like 4 years ago. He's like, "Do you remember writing this?" I didn't even remember writing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is good stuff. You should reconsider this."
So is that going to be on the new?
I don't know.
This is Hove?
Yeah, he sent some old stuff. He and I and Drew did some pre-production before the last record that got dismissed immediately by the producer because he was very Rick Rubin about stuff. He's like either loved it or he's like, no, crap, I don't even want to deal with it.
Maybe that's a good thing. You never know.
Well, I mean, it is if you're looking for a real strong sensibility, like if you want to be guided,
Yeah.
Because there are certain producers who like they're along for the process, they facilitate, and there are certain producers who are like, this is what's about to happen.
Right.
And some artists like that; they want structure.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it because I was so new to that world as far as making like a professional record and producing it. Like I knew how to engineer it, but not the producing is completely different.
Yeah, I wonder with producers though, like what makes a hit a hit? You know what I mean? I mean, what's a hit on the radio is not necessarily a hit in sort of the underground movement of what's happening with music today.
Yeah, well, like pumped up kicks. Like who knew?
Yeah, of
who
course.
Who knew at that song? And you don't. You're just trying to make good music. It's a cool band comes in. It's kind of a catchy tune. Whatever.
Right.
I don't think they probably thought twice about that. Like
probably not.
He's probably like, all right, next. We got somebody coming in next week.
Do you think that
do
you ever write a song and you have a feeling about it that it's a hit, or do you just sort of know based on other people's reaction?
Well, you can definitely get an immediate reaction as to whether or not it has mass appeal. But just because it has mass appeal doesn't mean that it's appealing in the way you want it to be,
Now, how do you handle criticism? Do you ever are you good with it?
Yeah, I can take criticism. I like hearing it. I like to I love to hear something picked apart. Just pick it apart.
I don't think I could I don't think I could hack it.
But during the process, if I bring you over to the listening party and you're eating my you're eating my cocktail snacks and you're hanging out, don't tell me about how I could replace the too late. Like way too late for this.
Exactly.
Just smile, eat your cheese puffs, and say you like it.
Once it's done, it's done, and it's time to just clap and be happy.
Right.
But during the process you're okay with people saying,
tear it up.
"Hey, this isn't the best. Let's do it this way instead."
Well, I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, if you can't take a critique from somebody who's your teacher who's trying to help you,
right?
How much more so are you going to relate when you get kicked off the label 2 months in because nobody's buying your product?
Right.
Like, get used to it.
Yeah, because I certainly do not handle criticism well, I have to say. So I give you props for being able to. That's not a joke. It's very serious. When people criticize me, I mean, I definitely change it at a later date, but in the moment, I go F yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it depends on what you have to invite the criticism.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing because you're pretty thick-skinned when if you ask me something like, "What do you think about this?" then you're cool with it. But if I just came out with just an out of left field kind of.
Yeah, that's true. And you definitely, during the songwriting process, will just open it up and say, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, and I mean, there are tunes that I know aren't as good as others, but they're still good.
Right.
And I still think that they're worth existing and they're worth putting on a record.
Right.
And they're fulfilling to me in ways that maybe aren't a hit. Like we have one tune on this record called Promised Land. I love it. It's a great song.
Right.
It is, however, never going to be a radio hit. Well, I just dig playing it. I like the song.
That is a great song. I've heard it.
Thanks.
And by this record, you're referring to the Kickstarter campaign that we're promoting
here.
Yes,
Kickstarter.
on our radio interview.
Yeah, AaronBarnhart.com. There's a little link.
I'm here with Aaron Barnhart. Let me just rehash what's happening. And we are raising money for his Kickstarter campaign that ends on what's the date?
May 4th.
May 4th.
Yeah.
And we're trying to raise $3,000.
$3,500.
$3,500. And what are we at right now?
$2,300.
We're at $2,300. This is very exciting. Even if you're donating $5, am I correct?
$1.
$1.
I actually felt bad like a couple of years ago. Like this woman came to a show and she
please, someone take the jobs away from that clown. Go ahead.
And well, anyway, she just came to the show and afterwards was like, I really enjoy your music. Thanks for creating cool stuff. And then I befriended her on Facebook and she owns a dance company, like a modern dance company.
Right.
She does a Kickstarter campaign. I donated $1. And I was like, I really felt like an asshole. Like now that I'm doing it, I'm like, $1? Really? $1?
She's basically a stripper to you.
Yeah, I'm like, you Like, you went to Amazon, you logged on, you put in your credit card information, and you gave $1.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
But honestly, that's awesome. And like you were saying, if all 1,000 people on my Facebook likes did that, then it'd be easy.
Yeah,
it'd
you've
be
got
done.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just everybody donating a little bit of money to make music happen, right?
It's cool because it really, and this is one of those instances where like it's not just going to get, thrown in the bucket and not appreciated and just, by this huge band that doesn't care. It's like all of us work our asses off here and we're always trying to keep our heads above water, and it's really going to help. It's going to help everybody.
Yeah, we are making good product here at Brick and Mortar
Studios on Melrose.
On Melrose
in
if
Los
you want
Angeles.
To record your album.
These guys are badass.
Aaron Barnhart, the incredible, talented musician who plays keyboard, not keys, because we found that's a ridiculous term.
I play keyboard.
He plays keyboard, and he's recording his second album. The first one involves some very hot music videos of him on the beach. I'm not sure what this one. I don't know how you top that with the new one.
My gold Speedo and Indian headdress, I think, are coming out.
Yeah, what? You should belly dance in the videos for the new record.
I should not. That would be kind of amazing.
Come on, you're 6'4", you got long hair. I think you could pull it off.
I've actually seen some male belly dancers that were pretty badass.
Well, music videos now are making a comeback. There's some great music videos out there.
Yeah.
Like OK Go is huge.
You know who I like is that Gautier?
Gautier is amazing.
That video is
so
amazing.
Incredible.
And just that song is
really I mean, and he also has the new song, I don't know his second release, but it's
I didn't like it as much as the first one.
Of course not, but
that's the single. I mean.
Well, it's the single. I mean, you never know. He might end up being a one-hit wonder. Yeah. I mean,
the other stuff was super 80s, kind of like Peter
agree.
Gabriel. I was like, whoa, what's up, Phil Collins?
I agree. But, you have to be careful, I think, when you release your record and you become super famous based on a song. You have to remember about overexposure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something you don't think about at the time because I think you suck in all the exposure that you get, but then you have to take a step back and go, I got to reel it down. Yeah.
Look at John Mayer. I mean, he was like, he
huge.
Just went crazy.
Yeah,
and then he got his life involved because he's a really nice guy, and I met him, and his music's great. But like, if you get too in the public sphere.
Well, yeah, and I think with music, what's interesting about it is when you play a record and you like the people that you're playing the record of, it adds this extra element of enjoyment to the record. Hey, I know that guy and he's really cool and nice,
Yeah, totally.
Which is not to, stroke your ego, but that's the case with you. It's I know Aaron's a nice guy. I like listening to the music, right?
Well, thank you.
No, it's true though.
Well, look at all the Laurel Canyonites. That whole movement here in L.A. There's like a whole scene of people who are, that's their vibe, and there's probably 50 artists who are recording and touring and working out of that kind of.
But that's what I like. I mean, a lot of people, they say the music industry is imploding just because the labels are going under. But that's what I like about this grassroots movement is that everybody's friends. If you like someone, you ask them to open for you and you promote them, and it's really wonderful.
It's just gonna need to equalize in some way. Like right now, it's just. Nothing has settled. It was like the Big Bang, you know what I mean? And then now everything has to kind of settle back down because it's great that we have grassroots and it's great that we have Kickstarter, but there just has to be kind of like a more finite way for people to contribute to music again.
Yeah.
Because we're not paying for it.
Right.
Now, I'm putting myself in this category. It's I don't buy CDs anymore.
Right.
But I do pay for subscriptions.
But what I do pay for subscription
and
too.
I think that's good. If everybody did that and paid $8 a month, that's revenue being generated.
Definitely. And Pandora too. You discover new artists.
I can't stand the ads. I had to put the $8 down on Pandora.
You did it?
Right away. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Are you kidding me?
I don't mind it.
No, it's invariably I'll be listening to Portishead late night and be like Pepto-Bismol. Are you having trouble with your bowels? I'm like, what?
Oh man.
No, it's worth the $8.
No, but what I like about Kickstarter is the idea that we're all coming together to support music because everybody loves music.
And there's also other things and we're gonna do this here. I hope we talked about it, doing a Ustream or a Stage It, which is essentially people can watch you do a live in-studio performance. And it's free, but while you're watching, if you're like, well, this was cool, I'll give it $1. You can just hit a button, and you can make more sitting in the studio just than you would going to a gig, especially in L.A. I mean, getting paid in L.A., please.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen. So.
Well, LA has a heavy music scene. It's just a matter of...
There's great music in LA. It's just getting paid to do it like on a smaller level is tougher.
Right.
If you can bring 30 people in LA, though, you are king of your little world.
Yeah.
Because then you get paid every time. That's the magic number. It's like 30
Well,
people.
you perform live in LA a lot. You perform at our bar a few times. I've seen you.
Got a gig coming up, Hotel Cafe, the 22nd.
No shit. You're performing at Hotel Cafe?
Yeah, Hotel Cafe, Sunday.
Are the guys performing with you?
Yeah.
Shit.
Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. So,
wow, I love
Hotel
Hotel Cafe. That's amazing. That's a great venue. I've found a lot of musicians there.
Hotel Cafe is a place that I can honestly say I've never seen a bad show there.
I hear music in
the
background.
That's the 808s and Heartbreak from next door.
Oh, okay.
Mainly just Heartbreak.
For the audience who doesn't know what's happening, we're in a recording studio. There's a recording studio next to us. Is that correct?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Like about 6 feet away.
6 feet away. They play, what would you describe this thumping, horrible music that I'm listening to? Please.
That pretty much sums it up.
For the audience here, I'd like to know. I'd like to know what music should not be and what the genre is called. Is that hip hop? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're pretty much hip hop to the bone.
So Aaron, I don't want to I know you're a very busy man.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah. A lot on my plate today.
So we should close this interview out, I feel like, yeah?
Yeah.
And I would just like to say, so Kickstarter, what's the URL so we can tell people?
Just AaronBarnhart.com.
So AaronBarnhart.com, and that's phonetic. Is that the word?
AARON.
AARON BARN
HART.
HART. Let me just say it one more time. AARON BARNHART.com.
Yeah.
And that will show
There's a link. There's like, when you go to the website, there's just like this big link that says, click here to donate.
So everybody donate whatever you can, even if it's $1, you're supporting music, and you're supporting Aaron Barnhart and Brick and Mortar Recording Studios on Melrose, where we're going to make wonderful music happen, because that's what the Dishmaster.com is all about, is promoting up-and-coming artists. And this one is fantastic. Well, right, Aaron? Go ahead and toot your own horn for a moment and talk about how great you are.
As are you.
Oh,
yeah.
See, it's just
been a great
fest.
interview. You got a good flow,
Thank
it's
you.
It's easy to talk to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
We're like in love already. Shit. We are one big happy family over here.
Yes, we are.
So everyone donate whatever you can, and we are going to make this record happen. We've got 3 weeks. What's the deadline? Tell it again. May 4th is the deadline.
Yeah.
So garner up some cash and donate it.
Yes, it's much appreciated.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you for coming in and spending the time to interview with me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm officially in love. Right? Love. Don't tell your wife.
I won't.
I don't want her to get